So I wanted to focus on the 17 seconds that we go into for a specific energy. I noticed
Give us that sentence again. It was a good sentence. We just want to hear it clearly because we want to dissect.
I want to focus on the individual energy within, because a rampage of appreciation is many energies usually, that like ease, flow, I feel, if I was to focus on one of those words for 17 seconds or more, 68 seconds max or more, it would have a better effect on me vibrationally if I focus on one of those energies, right?
Well, maybe. You could focus on anything that doesn't have resistance. The point of 17 seconds, let's talk about that. We've been saying to you that when you focus upon something for as little a period of time as 17 seconds, without contradicting it, it will exponentially grow. So let's say it's 17 seconds of something you're worried about. That worry will get bigger after 17 seconds. Let's say it's something that you are looking forward to. That good feeling thought will get bigger after 17 seconds. There's not a lot of power in that little pop that happens at 17 seconds. So if you hold it for another 17 and another, till you get a little more than a minute, now there's enough momentum that you've allowed. You just might, it depends upon what's going on with you, receive a 17 seconds again and again and again until you've crossed the 68-second mark is enough that you could connect with a thought that your inner being is thinking about the same thing. That's where true momentum kicks in. So what is it you're trying to get out of the 17-second conversation?
So I notice when I do my list of appreciation, I go through a list and I just do each item that I appreciate. But I'm not specifically necessarily spending 17 seconds on each item.
But the thing is, those things that you already easily appreciate, there's already a lot of momentum on them. So we can't even have the conversation about 17 seconds because there's way more momentum about something that you easily appreciate. That's exponentially so much bigger. The only reason that we talk about 17 seconds at all is because we are wanting to clarify that you live in an attractive universe and that when you focus, you attract. And that the attraction comes in these little clusters or envelopes of energy, so to speak. There's something about understanding how it works that makes you more likely to pay attention to how you're feeling. That's really the only point of the 17-second discussion. A lot of people were carrying timers or stopwatches or different things around, and they were trying to focus upon something to allow the momentum to go. And the whole conversation was only about helping you to understand that if you get headed towards something unwanted, it will get bigger. And if you get headed towards something wanted, it will get bigger. And it is better to do it in general terms than in specifics. So let us just say to you, the 17-second concept is a much better general concept than it is specific concept.
I can go into specifics and practice that individual vibration and then bring more of that.
For example, give us an example of what you're talking about.
If I said something I appreciate where I live. I just focused on not necessarily, if I focused on where I live, the weather, the people around my surroundings, that's focusing all in that energy of where I live, right? And if I keep going on.
Let us pick up on what you're getting at. So let's say you walk out of your door, and let's say that you've already prepared yourself to walk out your door. You woke up, you didn't get into any negative discussions with anyone. You didn't try to fix anything that's broken. You got up and early in your morning, while you're still in the non-resistant mode, you went out to take a walk. And let's say you stepped out into really good feeling air and you acknowledged it. And let's say that you had an emotional response to that good feeling air. So you didn't necessarily think, oh, this is good feeling air. You just had exposure to experience that felt good to you, with felt being the operative word here. So now you're having a feeling experience. You are translating this moment through your physical senses, and what you find is pleasurable. So now, this is what you're reaching for, and this is what we really want you to hear. Without you then saying, oh, I now have to parlay this good feeling into gooder. So I'm going to say, ooh, that's a pretty house. Ooh, that's a pretty bird. Ooh, that's a pretty... I'm going to deliberately focus on, you don't have to do anything because you're already in that mode of attraction. And now this will match your feeling, and that will match your feeling, and that will match your feeling. In other words, the universe will deliver to you experiences that match the vibration of your being that you are translating through feeling. You don't have to make it a thinking process. So let's say that happens. It just feels gooder and gooder and gooder. And now you can feel yourself really enjoying this, and you decide, I'm so tuned in, tapped in, turned on. I'm going to use this as a productive moment to really increase the energy of this moment. We gave Esther a process. Interesting that you're talking like this. Just recently, she's been doing it for a couple of weeks, where she takes a notebook and at the top of a page, she writes, the words on this page are for the purpose of enhancing the momentum on the subject of whatever it is. But she's doing it only from this state of being that you are describing, because when you feel like that and your intention is to keep the vibration going, to focus with the specific intention of not only keeping that vibration going or allowing it to stay going, but to focus it in the direction of things that matter to you, now you can make some vibrational headways on a lot of subjects. That's really a productive way to be a deliberate creator. But feel the difference between that and having a problem and sitting down with the problem in your belly and saying, these words on this page are being written to improve the vibration of, because you know what? Every word you write, no matter how positive it appears to be, will not improve the vibration. It will accentuate where you're sitting. This is leading edge. You followed it though, didn't you? Did you?
Yes. Okay. So if I was doing my list of appreciation and I turn over to my...
Well, we have a question for you. Why would you be doing a list of appreciation? What's your reason?
Well, following your practice.
Why else? Because that's not a very good reason.
For just appreciating.
For the sheer pleasure of it.
And raising my vibration on what I appreciate.
So it's not to make something happen that isn't happening. A little bit of that.
Well, of course, I have a huge wish list. Yeah.
But it's not to make something happen that isn't happening, because that will backfire. It's for the sheer pleasure of keeping this going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really about appreciating what I have. And then from that point, going over to where I put a word in the center and I do the circle process around my word. I forgot what it's called. It's your process. Focus wheel, thank you. When I do my focus wheel, I go from my list of appreciation right to my focus wheel. And then, like for instance, I have a focus wheel on money. So around my focus wheel, I do each of my sentences. Now I started noticing, if I was to go fast through my sentences, like I can't wait, or I so appreciate if, or when I've actually come to a conclusion, it feels better if I say, I can finally pay off my debt. And I sit there with that feeling. So I want to ask you, if I sat there with each one of my sentences and focused, I can finally pay off all my debt for 68 seconds, is that more powerful than going through all of my lists of questions or all of my lists of I can finally, if I just do it with individual ones?
The thing that we're wanting you to hear that we have added to the conversation recently. So just listen to this, and we're going to come back to everything that you're asking about, but this is so right where this discussion is. And your questions point out the improvement in the discussion over what it was when we were encouraging those processes. Those processes certainly were beneficial. This process is more, and we'll tell you why. So you get it, that you've been living life and that your vortex is full of things that are potential to be manifested, that exist in a vibrational reality that haven't manifested yet, so you're not yet seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. They're like the seed in the ground that has yet to sprout and give you benefit. But it exists because it is a seed and it does hold promise. So this vibrational reality exists. and its full manifestation is dependent upon your ability to realize it. There's nothing real in the world outside of your realization of it. You make it real. You make it real through your receiving of it, through your seeing of it, and so forth. It's your creation, and you create through realization. Just stay there. We know. Just stay there for a little bit. So that means that takes us to a subject, turning thoughts to things. Thoughts turning to things. Vibrations turning to thoughts, and thoughts turning to things. So it's just the most natural process in the world. Thoughts turning to things. It's the most natural process in the world. So all of this is in your vortex, and it already has enough momentum, way more than 17 seconds. Your inner being and infinite intelligence have been focused upon your creation to the point that it's not just 17 seconds along the road. It is a full-blown, for sure, slam dunk, absolute creation that is there for your realization. But your realization on anything, first of all, it varies on different topics. And you're not ready for the full realization of any of it. That's why the full realization of it isn't happening. But you're ready to be ready for some of it. And so let's say you've meditated and you're feeling good and something occurs to you, sort of some of the things that you're talking about. Now, we want you to feel the distinction between just letting those thoughts flow and turning your undivided attention to it and trying to goose it along. Some of what you're talking about is like reminiscent of trying to push a noodle. We want you to not try so hard and not try to apply so much of yourself every step along the way. Instead, we're asking you to accept that the vortex is real, and to accept that there's a reality that's already formed, and to accept that your inner being knows what it is and where it is and how it is and when it is and who it is, and that your inner being knows where you stand right now, this red hot minute, in relationship to its evolution. And also that your inner being knows that the evolution of it is what's going to ring your bells, not the completion of it. It's the evolution of it, you see. So we're asking you to be ready for the receiving, not so thoughtful about pushing it forward. Can you feel that distinction?
So not necessarily, just keep playing, basically doing what I'm doing.
Keep having fun.
Playing, having fun.
And realize that a lot of what you're talking about, we really want you to hear this most of all. A lot of what you're asking of us right here and now, you've been receiving these impulses. That's why you wrote it down and you want to ask about it. Your inner being has been feeding some of this to you too. Let's let this part of the discussion, just for a moment, be about the all-important distinction between you receiving a thought and you thinking a thought. Can you go there for a minute? The distinction between you receiving a thought and you thinking a thought. Now, think about step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1 is you're thinking the thought. I don't like this, and I don't like this, and I like this better, and I wish I had that. You're thinking those thoughts. Step 1 is you thinking. It's you sifting and sorting and defining and deciding. You're thinking, you're thinking, you're thinking. Step 2 is you're not thinking. Inner being received it, knows it, holds complete knowledge about it. And step 3 is you're not thinking. Step 3 is you're receiving. Step 3 is you're chilled, you're trusting. You have general things you know about law of attraction. You know about your vortex. You know about your guidance system. In other words, you could think those thoughts, but don't. You're just going to come from a quieted mind. And when a thought pops into your mind that's not on the subject that you've been ratcheting up 17 seconds at a time, that's not a thought you're receiving. That's a thought you've been thinking. You're ratcheting it up 17 seconds at a time. You see what we're getting at? Instead, you receive this thought, and it's not about something you were thinking about. It's not about something that you were thinking about even recently. Thoughts are progressing in your vortex. And when you get into the receiving mode, then you get to receive the momentum of those thoughts that are in motion, you see. So can you feel more and more that what your work really is to prepare yourself to receive thoughts? And it's not that it's thoughts that you're not thinking. They matter to you. They are your thoughts because they were your questions. The answers to your questions you own.